It's as if someone turns off the light. You're no longer a light. You're just dark. And you don't understand why. Looking back now, I understand that I became depressed. It's time to make some changes now. My husband and I, we were watching Netflix, the CrossFit documentary. We're like, what the heck is this? I was blown away to the point where at the end of the first one, I picked up my husband's golf club. I started snatching. So I was like, okay, why don't I do the hardest thing ever in order to become the fittest version of myself? My mind and my body were trying to heal me. I clung on to that and it saved me. I felt like I was fighting every day, but I knew that the real Diane was still in there. I just gravitated towards more movement. I had just started CrossFit, but once I became depressed, I subconsciously started working out more because it's the only time where I felt like myself. I wanted to be outside all the time. I wanted to see greenery. I didn't understand why, but now I understand that it's very healing.
People need to hear how you got out of depression. Not just like, oh, I started to work out, but like the moment where it shifted. I'm Manning Sumner. I've lived my life by one motto: no days off. No days off is never taking a day off on you. It's a commitment to becoming your best self. Get ready to be inspired to do the same. This is the Big Dawgs with Manning Sumner. Diane.
Yes.
Yes, love it. Younes.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on the Big Dawgs.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time. I'm gonna tell a little bit about your story. You were born in Paris, France, grew up in London, and went on to earn 2 law degrees. Not one, people, but 2. One in Canada and one in New York. You spent 6 years in New York as a lawyer in investment banking at Morgan Stanley and Barclays Capital before moving to Hong Kong and Singapore. Quite the traveler. Where you founded and ran a lifestyle tech startup called Sponge.
Correct. Yeah.
And on-demand beauty company. So it was a beauty company.
Yes.
Amazing. While living in Asia during the COVID era, you discovered that, wow, that just sounds horrible. But just saying that, like reading that out loud is terrible. You discovered the importance of movement. You started doing CrossFit, and as you got deeper into it, you realized how critical nutrition, mindset, and recovery were for your training, which helped you mentally as you navigated uncertain times away from your family during multiple lockdowns. What part of China were you, Asia were you in?
I was in Hong Kong and Singapore. Yeah.
After moving back to the U.S., you founded the consulting firm Growth to Mindset, bringing together all of your previous experiences to help wellness and sports companies grow. You provide business development, marketing, partnerships, legal strategy, and also host retreats. You've worked with brands such as Whoop, Lululemon, Monster Energy, and various gyms and health practitioners across the US, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. You also host the Di-scussions Podcast, where industry leaders share their stories of personal growth through Growth to Mindset's nonprofit work. You and your team volunteer at Gigi's Playhouse, offering individuals with Down syndrome the opportunity to play sports because you truly believe movement is for everyone. I love that.
That's right.
Quote I hope people retain from my story is that every chapter in your life sets up the foundation for the next one, which ultimately culminates into deeper, sorry, there's my eyesight, culminates into deeper knowledge, wisdom, experience, growth, and gratitude.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive into this. How have your French roots influenced your personal and professional journey?
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were going to go there. My French roots, all my education prior to college was in French schools, in London and in New York.
Okay.
And what they do really, really well is working you to the bone.
Really?
Yes. For some it works, for some it doesn't. I thrive on people telling me something's not good enough.
Okay.
And even though I would actually get really good grades, if it's not 100% each time, they would tell you suck.
Like literally would say you suck.
Yeah. Sometimes they would take a whole hour of class to make this whole speech about how you suck. And if you don't get better, your whole future is ruined.
Wow.
Now, looking back now that I'm older, I think I feel so sorry for people for whom this does not work.
Yeah.
Because that must be horrible and soul crushing. But to me, I was like, oh, really? You think I suck? Let me show you next time. So that in itself, I think I've replicated throughout my life, where if I don't feel like I've performed, or if someone else doesn't feel like I've performed to a certain level, I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm going to show you. So I think that's how it's kind of shaped me.
Interesting.
Yeah. The American system's a little different from what I understand. And even being at the French Lycée, which is the French school in New York, you could see that they were slightly more Americanized, where they actually patted you on the back a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I could see how for other people that really helped them a lot.
I really feel like when I was in college, and high school for the most part, you're just kind of on an island. Like it was like, it was up to you. Like if you pushed yourself, you did good. If you didn't, you did good. If you reached out, got tutors or whatever. Now being on the football team, we got assigned tutors. So that obviously helped. Yeah. But for the most part, everybody was just like, good luck.
That's college, right? You're an adult. All of this was very much like from 4 years old all the way to 18.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you're in the years where you're looking for validation, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for guidance, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I got much of those. I did very much at home, but at school it was very much like, you're not good enough.
Okay.
Which was very interesting.
Was it shaped in the form of like discipline? Were they trying to make it like that, or was it just shaped in the form of humiliation?
I think discipline, for sure.
Okay.
And they wanted, especially the French school in London, they wanted to keep that perfect record that they had. Because in France, high school culminates into the French baccalaureate. And that is the ultimate test. You work your little booty off your whole life at that age to get the best grades possible at the French baccalaureate to then go to the best schools. So it's all of the different subjects like math, French, history, geography, physics, chemistry, like the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's a week or a few days, like at least 3 to 4 days of nonstop exams. And your whole life depends on the results from those exams. And the French school I attended in London was one of the best French schools in the world. And they had an amazing track record. And thankfully, I graduated with honors. Thankfully, my God, the stress. I think my dad was super stressed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
All right. How did grow up in London shape your identity and perspective?
London's so international. I love London. And it's such a big city, but it feels like a village. And so you were able to kind of have that city feeling, but feel very protected as well. And just meeting people from all over the world. And thankfully, on top of that, London is so centrally located in Europe that you can go anywhere in Europe. So I felt like I could really travel everywhere from there. And that really helped with my development.
Did you travel a lot?
Yes, very much. Yeah. I mean, the good thing with the French school system is you get a lot of holidays. So my parents really took advantage of that and made us travel. And in Europe, especially back in those days, I'm 37 now, but back in those days, it was.
So what years? How old were you when you were in London?
In London, I was 6 months old. I was born in Paris. We moved to London when I was 6 months old, so that was 1988.
Okay. And
then I left London in 2004, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2004. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. My mom and sister still live there. They love it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you go back?
I do go back, but not that often. Because if I do go back to Europe, it's mostly France.
Okay.
And also London's changed. Yeah. London's very much changed. Yeah. And I used to be in the south of London a lot because that's where the French school is. But now a lot of the cool stuff is in the north of London, which I'm not that like... I don't know much of it, and I know it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I know nothing about it, so
London's cool.
Can't dive into that. I definitely want to go though. So what was the thing that got you into? Because I mean, being a lawyer is tough. What drove you to that?
I've thought about this so often because with what I do now, I use my legal expertise and my law degree a lot, but I'm not practicing as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why did I do this? And I think, quite honestly, my parents went through a divorce when I was about 8 years old. And I just felt I had no voice during that. Like, I just felt like so much was going on outside of the house because I knew they were going to court. But I was like, how can this judge decide what's best for me when I haven't even had a chance to talk about what's best for me? I know the law says, you know, above us, under a certain age, a kid isn't consulted. But at the time, I felt like I was voiceless. So I wanted
even at 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, I was quite mature for my age. And I didn't understand what was going on. Like when my parents said they were divorcing, I didn't understand what the word divorce meant. I had 2 siblings. They're both older. I looked at them. They started crying. So I knew it was bad. So I knew that my dad moved out. So I knew something bad was happening and it's going to change everything. And I felt like, why am I not being consulted? So I wanted to become an attorney to give a voice to kids. And when I went to law school the first time in Canada, I took family law. And I quickly realized that as a family law attorney, you're basically a psychologist. And I wasn't ready for that. I felt like I had too much power. And I didn't understand enough of the human psyche in order to have that much control over families. So that's when I went into the business world.
Okay.
It was cold.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite.
Right.
Go for it.
All right, here we go. You're quite the traveler. So how did living the New York lifestyle shape your work ethic and hustle?
Oh my God, New York, those New York years were amazing because when I went to law school in New York the second time. So that was 2008 to 2011. And then once I graduated, I finally got a paycheck. Now, when you're over 21, you've got a paycheck, you're working investment banking and you're working in New York. I thought I had made it. I was like, I am the shit. I hope I can say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
I really felt like I've made it.
We've had people say much worse. So
oh,
it's
really?
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I stand by what I just said.
You're good.
It was amazing. And I'm smiling talking about it because I felt like I had so much energy, so much like I can shape my future. I now have money to do stuff, you know, because when you're in law school, you're in college, like quite frankly, are you making them? No,
you're broke.
You're broke.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was broke. So finally I have a paycheck and it's mine.
Yeah.
So I absolutely loved it. I just felt like I was living on cloud 9. And you're in New York. People are hustling. You become this aggressive walker. I don't know if you saw me walk outside. I'm an aggressive walker. It's just you become a hustler. And I really, really appreciated that.
Yeah, I'll never forget visiting. Every single time I visit New York, as soon as your feet get off the plane, there's a different energy in New York. And you're just like, it's like you're gliding through the city. Like completely. It's crazy. So.
And it's nice to take a step back from it in New York just because I feel like some of the smartest people on earth are in New York. So you can just sit in a bar and just wait for someone to come up to you and just start telling you about their life story. And I swear they are some of the most interesting people.
The Uber drivers.
And the Uber drivers.
And they
have these
best.
Stories.
They talk to you as soon as you sit down until your entire ride, and they tell you these crazy stories.
I love it.
It's the best.
New York, you can find the craziest of people too. Like it's just like, it's now at my age, I find it very overwhelming. But back then, I was like, bring it on. This is amazing.
Yeah, I still love it. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't, like you said, I don't see myself living there now with a family and wife and stuff like that. But back in my hustle days, I could definitely see myself, getting after it. So, all right. See, I figured it out on my own there, Oscar. You'd be proud of me. I did a podcast the other day and I was like, y'all didn't give me all my questions. And they were like, it's because you didn't know how to swipe. So it was my fault.
That's why you have a team.
Yes, exactly. Can you share your revelations and impact the fitness, nutrition, mindset, and recovery you've had on your life, especially while navigating uncertain times away from your family in Asia? So like when when that period of time, those lockdowns, and you
Yeah.
leaned into this, like how did that shape you?
I feel like it changed everything. My time in Asia during COVID and all the lockdowns made me realize, made me more in tune with my vulnerability. And it's a side of me I didn't know I had. And I think it's made me even stronger now. So for those people who don't know what happened during COVID in a lot of Asian countries, they actually did lockdowns. Like, it's not the lockdowns that other people had in other countries. This is literally locking you up. I had to serve a 2-week quarantine in a hotel room without access to fresh air. I couldn't even open a window when I moved from Hong Kong to Singapore at the height of COVID. I realized in that instance how important freedom was to me. And I use the word freedom very much knowing that people interpret the word freedom very differently. I think freedom is very subjective. What freedom is to me is the freedom to be whoever I want to be, to do whatever I want to do, and to respect certain basic human rights. I don't think I should be locked up for not committing a crime. All I did was move from country A to country B at the height of a pandemic, and now you took away all my freedom. Mm-hmm. And I can't even open a window. I know cultures are different, countries are different. I don't believe in changing a country that isn't mine. I believe in leaving a country that isn't mine if I'm not okay with it, which is what I ended up doing and coming back to the US. Which to me is home. So that period made me realize, wow, this is what's important to me. This is how the lack of freedom affected me. Looking back now, I understand that I became depressed. I knew I was very sad, but I didn't know it was depression. And it's actually very hard for me to actually say that, 'cause I'm like, oh my God, I actually was depressed. Like, I never thought that would happen to me. And nutrition, fitness, recovery, all of that got me out of it. Now, what happened is I didn't know what was happening. I was just super sad. It's as if someone turns off the light. Like, you're no longer a light. You're just dark. And you don't understand why. I was functional. And I was fine, and people who didn't know me that well thought I was fine, but people who knew me very well, including my husband, knew something was off. So naturally, I just gravitated towards more movement. I had just started CrossFit, but once I became depressed, I just subconsciously started working out more. And really hanging on to that, like clinging on to that routine of I have to go work out. Because it's the only time where I felt like myself. Like thoughts, everything, what was happening around me, all the lockdowns weren't affecting me in that moment.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. And then on top of that,
silent thing.
On top of that, the gyms were closed. So what I did was get gym equipment. I was doing snatches in my apartment.
And this is still in Asia?
This is still in Asia. Yeah, like imagine in Hong Kong, like the apartments are so small.
I was about to say, the ceilings are really short too.
And you gotta be really good.
Really
and then,
accurate.
Accurate and bringing it down, like with so much control, blowing up my back in the process. Like, I clung on to that and it saved me. Subconsciously, I wanted to be outside all the time. I wanted to see greenery. I didn't understand why. But now I understand that it's very healing for us to be outside, to look at greenery, to take moments of just like silence, to take nature in. Mm-hmm. And because I upped my training, naturally I upped my nutrition, my recovery. And that's why I got certified by the American College of Sports Medicine as a CPT, Precision Nutrition as a nutrition coach. And I just immersed myself in so many recovery modalities to see what worked for me. Then I started coaching other people. This was all in Asia because I knew that what works for me doesn't necessarily work for other people.
Right.
So that was the basis of Growth to Mindset. So I had the idea for Growth to Mindset in Asia, but waited until I came back to the US. It was probably about a year once I had the idea and waited to execute on it, because I wanted it to be in America. I didn't want to start that back in Asia. I literally wanted to be like, I'm back home and I'm going to start running towards my goal now. And so that whole chapter taught me so much. It was so hard, but I think it's one of the most beautiful chapters of my life thus far.
Talk a little bit though about like, because when you're truly depressed, but you said like nobody really knew except for you.
Yeah.
And then when you made the decision to choose fitness to get, was it like a trying to get out of the depression, or was it an intentional thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a great question. I honestly don't know how, but it was just my body and mind telling me to do this. This is why, to be honest, I felt such a surge of confidence in myself since then, because I know that my mind and my body were trying to heal me.
What was your, sorry to cut you off,
go
but
ahead.
what was your relationship to fitness before that?
So I've always been active. I played college basketball, up in Canada, but with investment banking, you just are tied to your desk all the time. So at the time I put on weight, I wasn't as active as before. And of course, with the stress of work, it was so much. And then when I moved to Asia, I thought, okay, I think it's time to make some changes now. I was pushing 30. I was like, okay, something needs to change. And I want to look like I work out. I want to be healthy from the inside out, but I also want to look like I work out. So I remember the pure coincidence, my husband and I, it was probably like a Sunday, we were watching Netflix. And at the time there were these documentaries on Netflix, the CrossFit documentaries, like Fittest on Earth. We're like, what the heck is this? We put it on. I was blown away to the point where at the end of the first one, I picked up my husband's golf club. I started snatching. I didn't know how to snatch, but I was like, I want to do this. And then, because that looks like the hardest thing you can do on earth. Like, to me, that was like, what the heck is this?
It definitely does look like the hardest thing.
It's really hard. So I was like, okay, well, why don't I do the hardest thing ever, that what I think is the hardest thing ever, in order to become the fittest version of myself? And so I started CrossFit in August 2018 in Hong Kong at this awesome gym called CrossFit Asphodel. It's like I drank the Kool-Aid after the first, they called it on-ramp, where they kind of teach you the foundational movements first before putting you in a class, because it's quite technical. After the first one, I told my husband, that's it. I am high on life right now. I want to do this. And then 2-3 months later, I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's also a nutrition coach. And I told her, I don't understand. It's been 3 months of doing CrossFit. Why don't I have muscles? I don't understand. I'm working really hard. She's like, it's what you're eating. I told her how I was eating. And back then, people were talking about vegan this, vegan that. So once in a while, I would have a vegan burger and all that stuff, which now I will never touch.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so bad. Basically, I wasn't eating enough protein.
Yep.
So
I already knew what you were going to say before you said it.
Of course. I mean, you're a trainer, so you know. So at the end of the day, she's like, I'm going to work with you. And I became her first client because she had just transitioned over. Her name is Beth Wright. She changed my life. She taught me the basics, and I fell in love with the whole process. And I'm like, why was I not taught this in school? Honestly, why was I not taught this in school? Why is it that I went through years in school of disliking my body because I never looked like anyone? I'm tall and I'm thick. That's just who I am. I look sick at 80 kilos, which is what, 100, gosh, I'm so bad in pounds.
160?
I think a little
Around
bit more.
166 or something like that. Because it's
Something like
2.2 pounds to 1 kilo.
So that makes sense, right?
Something around there.
I look sick at 80 kilos. Sick. And so
how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm just naturally thick. I'm big bone. I carry lots of weight. And so back then growing up, I did not look like anyone. And back then you had to look skinny, like Britney Spears and all this stuff, which I never could look like. And I, to be frank, now don't want to. Everyone looks beautiful the way they are.
Yes.
So I wish I had known all this, because if I had known what my body needed, I would have put the focus more on, I don't care what my body looks like. I'm giving it what it needs. Because back then I was not eating good enough. Like, I wasn't eating enough as a teenager. At one point, I think it was one summer, I was like, I'm sick of not having a flat stomach. So I would skip dinner every day. Like, how sad is that? My poor body, I was not giving my body the basis of everything in life. Like, my body enables me to do amazing things, including hugging my loved ones. I was not giving that love back to my body. So I wish, and this is something that I actually want to do through Growth to Mindset, I actually want to help educate kids as early as possible on, this is what your body needs. This is science.
Right.
Don't question it. This is what your body needs. How you feel about your body is completely up to you. But I truly, truly feel like these body image issues will be decreased the more we actually educate people and kids on what their body needs.
Well, the first thing we got to do is get rid of the food pyramid.
That would be nice.
We got to flip it upside down.
That would really be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole basis of Growth to Mindset is to help brands in the wellness and sports and fitness realm grow. For me, the more brands in that realm that are growing, the more options everyone has to be the best version of themselves. They'll be like, okay, there's company A through Z that are offering these services for my wellness, whether it be mental, whether it be physical. They're growing. That's amazing. I want to use this and this and this to become the best version of me. That's the basis of Growth to Mindset. I want to help these brands grow so people grow. Hence the Growth to Mindset, which is growth squared.
Love it. Love it. But I do want to, I'm trying to unpack.
There's so much.
No, that was awesome. It's fantastic. I feel like I've heard this from so many people when they get depressed and they're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And so I'm very intrigued with again, what was it? Was it by chance that fitness, or was it intentional? You see what I'm saying? Because I think people need to hear how you got out of depression, and not just I started to work out, but the moment where it shifted, I think is very important, because it doesn't happen overnight, right? It doesn't. And so people need to hear that maybe it took you, these kind of steps. So kind of dive into that just a little bit. I think it'd be very impactful for people to hear.
It took me 2 years.
Okay. See, that's exactly, I knew it, that this was not because, and again, with all due respect, when how it sounded was I was depressed, then I started to work out and I was fine. That's
I wish.
Yeah, exactly. But I knew that wasn't the case. So kind of talk about that 2-year experience of getting out of depression and the commitment, in my opinion, is what I'm hearing out of context. But what I'm hearing is the commitment that you made to yourself to keep going. Yeah. Because that's really what it takes.
Honestly, in the beginning, it started with just my body craving things. And I just leaned into it. The whole movement, the whole nature, music was a big thing for me. I've always put big headphones on and blasted music.
What's your go-to?
Honest, you're going to laugh. Classical music.
No, I'm not going to laugh.
It's like...
Oscar will tell you, I be jamming out to classical all the time.
It's beautiful. I can be stressed out.
No, it's amazing.
Oh, it's the most beautiful thing. And then that's when it's really bad.
Okay.
But then R&B, old school R&B is my deal. R&B, 90s. Which is why Growth to Mindset, the whole branding is all 90s hip hop and R&B.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. To me.
Have you been to Phuket?
To where?
Phuket.
No.
It's all 90s R&B. It's you've been there, right? No, I gotta take you.
Is this a late night thing? Because I go to bed at 9 p.m.
No, I mean it's an Asian. She's gonna kill me, but Annie. Shout out to Annie.
Yeah.
Her restaurant's right over here. Yeah. It's in Little River. It's amazing, delicious. It's Asian something. You know how they do
Asian fusion.
Asian fusion, whatever. But they play nothing but 90s hip hop. So that's what it made me think. I love. Yeah. When you would like it. The ambiance. Take your husband. It's great.
I need to go because for me, 90s hip hop and R&B, the beats are so simple. The rhymes are so simple, but so impactful. It's like poems. And now, don't get me wrong, I still jam to music from nowadays, but it doesn't hit the same. Like if you listen to Common, oh my God, that guy's like, he's a poet.
One of my favorite songs, The Light.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's such a beautiful song.
Like,
yeah.
So for me, it's like coming back to basics. So again, like to get out of this depression era, for lack of a better word, I came back to basics, whether it be music, whether it be nature, whether it be movement. And this honestly came out of just listening to my body. And I think, I don't know who I have to credit for this. I keep thinking it's my dad. My dad is a sink or swim kind of guy. And boy, did he swim throughout his entire life. He got out of bad situations and did everything to give his kids everything that he didn't have. And he's one of the biggest fighters I'm getting emotional.
It's okay.
He's the strongest person I know. And so I feel like, I don't know if it's genetic, I don't know if it's environmental. He always told me too that no one can take anything that's in between your ears. What you have, no one can take. And I feel like that's a sink or swim moment. Like all you have is yourself type of deal. Mm. So I feel like that was ingrained in me, and I don't know if it's genetic, and I don't know. But I think at a certain moment, it got so bad after that quarantine that I was like, you have to take control now. Like, you have to figure this out. Otherwise, no one's going to help you. And it's not for lack of support. I have plenty of support, but I truly believe that ultimately, even if you have support, the only person you can count on to get yourself out of a shitty situation is yourself. Mm-hmm. You cannot depend on other people to pull you out of something. And so I just listened to my body. I have no clue how honestly, if I had the answer, I would give it. But you stayed with it. I stayed with it.
And that is the answer, in my opinion. It's the fight. It's every single day you obviously showed up for yourself.
Yeah.
And didn't allow what was ever what was happening between the ears.
Yeah.
It's that conversation we have with ourselves every single day.
Yeah.
And obviously you were speaking life into yourself. Otherwise you wouldn't have made it.
It's funny when you say that so clearly. Yes, it's true. And I felt like I was fighting every day, but I knew that the real Diane was still in there. And all I had to do was literally get rid of the crap. It felt like you're underneath earth, right? Like someone basically dug a hole, put a bunch of earth on you, and you can't see the light. And I was literally trying to dig out. But believe me, once I dug out of that hole, I'm running like I stole something. And again, I think that's my dad and the way he basically raised us. It's literally like, bet on yourself, always bet on yourself. And I will forever bet on myself, even more now that I feel like I got myself out of that hole myself. Mm-hmm. It was very hard, but I'm so grateful for that lesson. And I know that a lot of people are going through it, whether it's now, they went through it before, and heck, I might go through it again. Like, I think it's not talked about enough. I myself felt like it's not something that would happen to me. It's something that happens to others. But no, like honestly, it can happen to everyone. And I do think that the world we live in doesn't make it easier for someone to get out of it. Mm. Like, think about our phones. We're so disconnected from each other and from ourselves. Like, who is comfortable now sitting in a chair doing nothing, being with your thoughts? That's why, like, for example, in the gym, when there's like a long endurance piece where I have to be on the rower for a long time or whatever, I will never, ever put headphones on. I want to sit with my thoughts. Because if you are not comfortable listening to your thoughts, you got an issue. And it's hard to get rid of that issue because it means you're super uncomfortable, and my heart goes out to you because that's really freaking hard.
Yeah, some of my best My best thinking moments are in the sauna by myself, no music, no nothing.
No phone.
No phone. Just, I can't stand people that bring the phone into the sauna. It drives me nuts.
It's also bad for the phone.
And it's bad for the phone. It's bad for and they're scrolling the whole time. I'm like, could you just enjoy the sauna, please?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But to be frank, I'm one of those people. Sometimes I will bring it in, and I have to tell myself, no, stop looking at it. Like, we are so consumed by so much info all the time.
All day long.
And I've fallen victim to it. And I get mad at myself. I'm like, why am I scrolling? I could have used those 10 minutes to do something really good for myself, like take a walk, right? Or actually notice trees or notice the plants that are in my garden. Like, just stuff that we are actually wired to do. And we're so far from what we are wired to do and what actually heals us. And that's why I think we see so many issues.
I want to talk a little bit about the state of CrossFit, because me and you kind of went back and forth a little bit the other day.
Yeah.
I went on this like whole thing that I was going to save CrossFit kind of for a period of time, and then I realized I had to worry about my own company. So, so I quickly abandoned that. But
interesting.
But I'd love to hear, your experiences with where you have come from CrossFit, like your experience in the early days, and then like where you see it today, what your involvement is today, where you see it going. Yeah. I believe it's still for sale, correct?
Yeah,
like it's on the market.
Yeah.
I heard Rich Froning talking a little bit about it. I've heard rumblings and stuff, but I was just, you're in it.
Yeah.
Which CrossFit do you go to here?
I go to 2, CrossFit Miami Beach.
Okay.
And
is that where Sadie goes?
That's where Sadie goes. Yeah.
Shout out Sadie.
With her.
We love Sadie.
She's amazing. Boy,
Sadie is a superhero.
Amazing. Yeah, she is.
She's literally a superhero. Like living superhero.
Oh yeah, she kicks my butt in the gym.
She's
on
amazing.
The daily. Yeah, she's.
And Kaplan's awesome. So.
Oh yeah, he fixes me.
Yeah, he fixes us when we jack ourselves up.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And I also go to Peak 360, which is
Guido, my man.
Guido,
love Guido.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's 2 different vibes, both amazing gyms.
Okay.
I love going to, but I definitely, you tap into a different vibe. One is very much like more laid back, that's CrossFit Miami Beach, and there's one that's a little bit more competitive where you get elite CrossFit athletes who train there.
Yeah, Noah's there.
Noah's there, exactly.
Who's the big black dude that trains there too? Noah's friend?
Tola?
I think.
Well, Chandler Smith.
Or is it Chandler? Yeah.
Chandler, he is.
Yeah, there's one like jacked. Dude that's just super jacked. Like,
super nice too. I mean, they're all nice.
Yeah.
It's such a great community.
Yeah, Noah's kind of too nice. I tell him all the time, like, bro, you're too nice.
He's sunshine.
Yeah, no, literally, like he's too nice. I'm telling you, like.
No, too nice means there's like a judgment attached to it.
I'm just joking. But it is one of those things where you're like, bro, you can't be that nice. Come on.
He actually is.
No, but he is. Yeah. No, he is. It's a real thing. Guido too. Guido's super, like, just an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Amazing humans over there. So
this community is like really, really good, and I'm really thankful to tap into both. Like, CrossFit has gone through a lot recently. I joined on the tail end of its what some might call their heyday, right? August 2018.
Okay.
I think they fired their media team 2018 or 2019, something like that. That's when, at least on the public side, you started seeing that there was stuff going on behind the scenes. Now CrossFit is going through what some might call a crisis. I call it an identity crisis, to be honest. It's like a midlife crisis of just trying to understand what you are.
Yeah.
Whether you're a sport, whether you're a training methodology, and can you be both? Do you have to choose? And there's a bunch of rumblings about who might buy CrossFit. Right now it's owned by a private equity firm, Berkshire Partners. The CEO is Eric Rosa, who's a past tech entrepreneur. He also owns a CrossFit gym. There's a bunch of people who have put in, their hat in the ring. I'm even hearing Rory McIlroy. He apparently has started a sports investment fund, and it's somehow linked to TPG. I mean, these are all rumblings. You don't know what is true, what isn't. I just know it's up for sale.
Right.
I absolutely love the training methodology that is CrossFit. It's changed my life. I don't think it's the best training methodology out there. I think it's the best one for me right now. Right?
That's
and
a good way to describe it.
Yeah, you're smiling just because I'm not going to preach CrossFit.
Well, I mean, if I'm smiling because if you have a exercise science, strength and conditioning,
you're probably like,
kinesiology background, then, you know, it's tough to hear that and not smile. But
yes.
I'm also a believer that everyone, from nutrition, from lifestyle to training to sleep to everything is an individual choice. Everything is related to what works for you and what is, like, people always ask me, like, when should I work out? When should I do this on? And and I said, when you will do it, and that's the biggest thing.
But not only that, like, it is absolutely about how you practice something. Like, there's a spectrum of how to do CrossFit. You can compete in it, or you can just be a weekend warrior in it. And that's fine. Right. And CrossFit, people hate on CrossFit, like, oh, they're so injury prone. Last time I checked, pickleball, the injuries linked to pickleball.
Well, you can get hurt. You can get hurt in anything. And the truth is that most of the time you're getting hurt because of the lack of technique.
There you go.
And that's really what it boils down to. And your recovery.
Exactly.
And I will say this. There are certain things about CrossFit that you're having to perform technique in exhaustion.
Yeah.
And that combination is very hard to master. Basically, what I see is that CrossFit is an elite situation. Like, to master CrossFit is years and years of training without ego. That's another thing too. Like, if people are willing to not compete with the man next to them or the woman next to them and be like, well, he's using, 185 pounds, so I have to use it. If they would let their ego go and master the technique first, then they would all of a sudden progress and not have the injuries. But of course, it's so competitive and they see that and they're like, no, I have to do what they're doing and like that.
True.
But that's with anything.
I was going to say, you can
have that in pit.
Exactly.
Actually, a guy the other day, he was like insistent on jumping on a plyo box that he couldn't jump on. But because the other guy did it, he did it and he fell and hurt himself. And that was an ego injury. That's what I call ego injuries, And I think
Have you had an ego injury?
Oh, a million times.
Have you really?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah. I broke my back twice.
Oh. So,
oftentimes my osteopath, shout out Dr. Goddard.
Mine too.
Okay. So the osteopathic center and Kaplan, they keep me right.
Yep.
But so what would happen is Sean would inject me with Prolo or PRP or stem cells or whatever and get me right. And as soon as I'm feeling 100%, I go and do crazy workouts and stuff. And so that's where now that's years ago. I mean, now the ego is very low. And I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't been injured in a while now because of that. I'm very smart with listening to my body and not pushing the envelope and not just doing stupid stuff like I would in the past. But certainly I've 1000% have had ego injuries. So for sure, like just doing ridiculous things, so.
Yeah. And like I said, so many people hate on CrossFit. I can only speak about what it's done for me, and that's find confidence in myself, because now I focus more on what my body can do versus what it looks like. I like that I put on muscle. To be frank, the way I'm built is not the right build for CrossFit. I'm literally not in the right sport.
100%.
Yeah.
You're too tall, first of all.
I'm too tall.
Every
and
single
I'm too
badass
heavy.
CrossFit girl is like 5'2".
Exactly. I'm 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I laugh when I see guys do weighted pull-ups. I'm like, you don't even reach my weight yet. Like, you need to add more. And they're like, this is hard. I'm like, yeah. And this is me doing it whilst having less testosterone, more fat, and being on a cycle every month, right? So I have no pity
How many pull-ups
whatsoever.
can you do? Body weight.
Stripped?
Yeah, stripped.
I can do 8.
8?
And the real one. So I'm talking dead hang.
Dead hang. That's what we're talking about.
Underneath
Yes, I love
the chin, back
Real
down.
not the kipping crap.
Not the kipping, but also not the one where I start like that, where my elbows are bent. Yeah. No, like if there's something I do,
that's amazing.
Meet standard.
That's awesome,
right? And that took me a long time.
Yeah, and you're gonna get to 10. I can feel it.
I'm hoping. But back when I started, they would tell me, "Go ahead and squeeze your lats." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I didn't have that mind muscle connection.
Yeah,
like I could not squeeze my lats. I did not understand. And then once I started coaching, I realized that this was quite prominent amongst females. We don't use lats, and ours aren't even that developed. So when you're trying to do a pull-up, sometimes I do this under fatigue. In fact, I probably do it more often than not under fatigue. You use your back, like the upper back, etc., instead of actually using your lats. And now you tell me squeeze your lats, I'm like, got it.
Yeah.
But that took me a long, long time. And that's the journey that I love with CrossFit. I have found physical and mental strength through it. And that's why I love this sport. Do I think it's for everyone? Not necessarily. It's like saying basketball's for everyone. It's not. I think what's for you is what makes you feel empowered, what makes you feel healthy, and what makes you happy.
But I will say this. It can be for everyone.
It can be, yeah.
So it's two-way street.
True.
Like basketball can be for everyone.
Correct.
Because anyone can play basketball.
Correct.
Anyone can do CrossFit.
Yes.
It's just, you have to figure out if that's like really what you want to do.
Correct.
And experience. I would say the thing for me about CrossFit that stands out the most is the community.
Yeah.
I absolutely, in its heyday, and again, I'm not familiar with what's going on right now. Other than the rumblings that they need help. But in the early days, like you said, because when in our heyday, which we're still growing, I feel like we haven't touched our real true heyday. But I think a lot of fitness facilities, 2019 was like just a monster year. Like it was like we were just packed classes, it was just a fantastic year. And a lot of CrossFitters would come take pit as their conditioning.
Nice.
And so I'd meet a lot of them, including, Sadie would come over and Noah came over a couple of times. So, and for me, it was just the way they talked about it, how they rallied around each other, how they encouraged each other, how they ate the same things. Everybody was in the paleo thing, back then. Just the camaraderie of it was awesome to me. And that's what I took from it and applied that to what we do and really kind of like looked at that and said, this is a positive thing out of CrossFit. So, and I still think there's tons of room for them I think Guido and I talked about a little bit that they should probably have exactly the two things that you said is the struggle. Which one is it? And they should probably break it apart to a certain degree and have like programming for the sport and programming for just the everyday person so that it's not like the everyday person doesn't feel like they're competing against the 5'8", 220 pound little monster that's next to them. So
I tend to agree with that. Like logically, that's where my mind goes. We need to separate them. But the counter argument to that is what makes the community of CrossFit so strong is that they are doing the same thing that elite athletes are doing. So when you look at the season really starts with the Open, which tends to be in February to March every year. And now it's a series of 3 workouts, 1 every week. And whether it be your weekend warrior at a CrossFit gym or an elite athlete like Noah Olsen, they're all doing the same workout, and that kicks off the season.
So let me ask you this, though. Are they all doing the same weight?
So that's a great question. There are 2 different divisions. There's RX and scaled. RX means prescribed, and that's what the elite athletes are doing, and that's what people who are proficient in certain movements and in certain weights tend to do. If that's too much, like for example, if they don't know how to do toes to bar, for example, that would be prescribed. Toes to bar is literally you're hanging on the rig and you can use a kipping motion in order to get your toes to the bar and hit it. Some people can't, so they'll basically do knees to chest type of deal, right? That would be the scaled. So scaled is not that it's easier. It's just you're not there yet, but let's make sure that you're still getting.
It's a little modified, right?
It's
a little
modified.
Yeah.
That way everyone can do it. So obviously the elite athletes are doing RX, aka prescribed. People love that they are actually doing the same thing as these athletes that they look up to. Like, now you really feel like you're part of the same community.
Right.
And you have to do the open to get to the CrossFit Games. That's where the top, like, 0.1% goes. I never got there. But you knew that. I'm like top 10% or maybe even top 12 now. Who knows? But they're literally like the fittest on earth, like 40, people. That's what makes the CrossFit community so strong. So if you separate that, where you have the sport of CrossFit on one end and the training methodology on the other, there can't be the open. So, but logically for me, it makes sense from a branding perspective. I think also there's a lot of stuff going on in the CrossFit space. There's been a lot of chatter, good and bad. Like, there's a lot of black or white. No one's really talking about the gray area. It's such a divisive moment right now. It's actually quite sad to see. I don't like stuff like this, but because of what happened with CrossFit, it's just a bunch of different things, but perhaps lack of full, clear communication, maybe being transparent, or lack thereof, because based off of an incident that happened at the CrossFit Games last year where there was a tragedy and we unfortunately lost an athlete. The community was really down. Like, you talk about how strong this community is. We lost one of our own. So some weren't happy with the CrossFit Games continuing when, unfortunately, this death happened on the first day of the CrossFit Games. Some were okay with continuing, but then they weren't happy with how CrossFit, the brand, handled it. And then even afterwards, just what is this going to mean? Are we going to be more cognizant of safety procedures? Are you taking responsibility for the tragedy? Like, there was so much. And it's true. I see it as a pure lack of transparency, which is kind of scary because, and perhaps it's a legal thing. I don't know what's going on the inside. I'm on the outside looking in. And as you know, as a business owner, and I myself know, until you're in that structure, in the company, you don't really know what's going on. So I don't know why there was a lack of transparency. All I know is there was. And then it's all of a sudden, new season, let's go. This is how the new season is structured. And here are the changes. And people are like, wait a second, we're still not over what happened.
So they never addressed it?
They did, but they didn't. Not enough for people to feel like they addressed it. And maybe it's for legal reasons. Like, who knows, right? But
they could say that. I mean,
And
was there ever a formal statement? Was there a formal statement?
There was a formal statement, but then you know how it goes. Then people start pointing fingers, and then it comes out that this person said this person did that. I mean, it becomes so messy, and people are like, I'm disappointed. And so now there's a new league called the World Fitness Project, WFP. I was just there a couple days ago in Indianapolis. It was the inaugural event where a bunch of CrossFit athletes that we've seen at the CrossFit Games competed because they get pro cards. So it's kind of like the PGA Tour. Okay. So think of PGA Tour versus Live. This is what happened in CrossFit.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really...
What's it called again?
World Fitness Project.
World Fitness Project. All right.
And I came in as media. I was invited as media, and I just wanted to see, hey, this is a new business. I want to see it flourish because it's a new business. I love it. The people who started it are entrepreneurs. That's so hard. Let me see, you're setting up something new and the whole world is waiting to see if you fail, and you have the guts to do it in front of the whole world. And they did, and they did a great job. I had the best time. The athletes had the best time. It's a great way for athletes to show off what they can do. It's a great new platform for brands to make more money, get more exposure. But then, of course, with what's going on, people in the CrossFit space are like, wait a second, are you competing with CrossFit? And
is it the programming CrossFit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's CrossFit.
So it's not like HYROX where it's different programming.
It's functional fitness.
Yeah.
Let's be frank now. CrossFit doesn't own functional fitness.
Right, of course.
No one owns functional fitness.
Right.
What's interesting in America is that the US is one of the only countries on earth to not have a ministry of sports. What does that mean? Sports is not publicly funded. It's privately funded. So that means that these companies can pretty much do what they want with a sport, especially if it's a non-Olympic sport, for example, because then you have the Olympic Committee, etc. But when you take the sport of functional fitness, who owns it? All you know is that you have an umbrella of brands. HYROX is functional fitness. Are they all tapping into the same key demographic? Yes. Does that mean they're competitors? You tell me. All I know is, this being the US and with so much emphasis on private companies and capitalism, I think that if you're seeing another company tapping into your key demographic, it is up to you to make whatever you offer better. That's what capitalism
I was about to
is.
say, that's the same thing as McDonald's and Burger King.
There you
know
go.
what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's like game on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola doesn't own sodas. Coca-Cola is a type of soda.
A brand.
And
Exactly.
at the end of the day, as a company, and you know this, as an owner of a company, if you feel like other companies are tapping into your key demographic and they might be going that way more, you, unfortunately, because this is very painful, have to hold up a mirror to yourself and say, what am I doing wrong? And the way for companies to do that, as you know, is to ask their customers, what am I doing wrong? And it is so painful. Think about it, even on a personal level, to ask someone when you've messed up or when you're not doing well enough, what did I do wrong? And to hear it, it sucks. Multiply that by thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. It's horrible. But again, that's your key to success. And in America, you have the freedom to do what you want with your company, but you, especially with regards to sports, but you have the, dare I say, responsibility to do right by the sport.
It's interesting, though, you keep referring to America because CrossFit's a global sport.
True,
right?
but it's an it started in the US. CrossFit is
Right.
an American
But wouldn't you say,
LLC.
like, I mean, and again, out of context, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty massive in Europe.
Oh, it's
though.
huge. But we're talking about the structure in itself,
Yeah.
not the reach. We're literally I'm thinking about the entity where you're clearly, there's someone else coming up in the environment and tapping into your key demographic.
So would you say this new company is trying to replace CrossFit Games?
I can't speak for them. Do
Yeah.
I think they are? No. I think I actually
Or
interviewed...
compete with CrossFit? It might be a better way to say it.
That's a great question. And I asked Will Murad, who started the WFP.
Because the format is like a game, right? It's like games. It's competitive.
It's an event. It's a competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Whether they are competing, it depends how you define competing. Are they tapping into the same key demographic? Yes.
Is there a winner? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
There's
so
a winner.
it's definitely a competition. So,
But the structure is a little different. Like, people earn pro cards, etc. Like, to be honest, it's not even my place to answer that question. I feel like, because I interviewed Will Murad, the one who started the WFP, and I asked him that question. And he literally said, we're staying in our own lane. So I just think, like, whether they're competitors or not, if CrossFit is upset with it, it is CrossFit's duty as a brand to see why this is happening, whether they can fix it, and how to fix it. And I say all of this because for me, not only as a business owner who tries to help companies grow, but also as a fan of this sport, I want it to be better. Only good things can come from everyone in the functional space doing better. There's so many people in CrossFit who hate on HYROX, so many people in HYROX who hate on CrossFit. I love HYROX.
But just hearing you say that is the silliest thing I've ever heard about. It's very similar though to when, and I would say it still exists today. Miami used to be, I don't feel it as much as it used to be, but right around that time, 2018, 2019, everyone talked shit about everybody. CrossFit boxes talked shit about each other. CrossFit talked shit about Legacy. Legacy talked, I mean, I'll be honest, we probably talked shit about this company. You know, like, it was like everybody was putting their chest out, like, we're better. And I used to try to frame it. I used to tell my staff we're not allowed to say we're the best. Even though we felt like we were the best, I would always say, let's frame it as we're the leader in group fitness. We're not the best in group fitness because you can always better your best. So even if you have a year where you're supposedly the best, well, then somebody's coming out after you the next year, you know? So to me, be a leader, have an impact consistently, like always be a leader in the field. Yeah. So that also other people can lead and because we're all in this together. What irritates me is like fitness, it got you out of depression. Like fitness is something that anybody can apply to their lives, no matter what they choose to do, whether they do solid core or yoga or whatever, it's all good. We're all in this together. So to be hating on, like, hearing CrossFit hate on HYROX is ridiculous. Like, because at the end of the day, and vice versa, and HYROX hating on CrossFit, it's absurd. It's really ridiculous. Everybody is out there trying to compete, trying to be the best that they can be, committed to it. You know, that's the thing is like, and I saw a bunch of CrossFit athletes do HYROX.
Exactly.
So, you know.
But that's the beautiful thing. I just want people to move. On a personal level, am I the biggest fan of HYROX? Am I going to sign up? I'll probably sign up, but it's not necessarily something that excites me right now. But I still want to compete in CrossFit. And I do feel like training for both is very hard. So I prefer training for one.
It's very hard because there's so much more endurance in HYROX.
Exactly. You know, so and to be honest, on a personal level, I suck at running. I'm not ready to do that yet. But once I actually start
got them long legs though, girl.
I got long legs, but I got some heavy legs.
You got get them strides out there. So,
I sure do. I actually want to work on my running. Then I want to do HYROX. I do one day want to do it. I just want people to move. If people move, they become the best version of themselves. If 100%. They have more options in order to do that movement, even better. On top of that, a rising tide lifts all boats. If the WFP is here, maybe CrossFit has to be here. And then that means, oh, wait, we're tapping into the same demographic. Let me get better. They will up each other. That's the beauty of it. And I want everyone to shine. I really, really do. And I don't like this divisive environment that is kind of taking over the narrative. It's actually quite sad.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's like, imagine it would be like the NFL hating on the NBA. Like, we don't do that. Like, we don't, like, football doesn't hate on soccer and so, well, football doesn't hate on football. But tennis isn't hating on pickleball. Like, if we're truly looking at this as a sport, we should be celebrating athletes, no matter what they choose to do. Period. Correct. And it's all hard too. Like it's a tough. Like both of those are very demanding. Oh my God, so much. Sports.
I looked at HYROX at first when it first came out. I was like, "What is this?" And then the more I saw these races, the more I just realized just how hard it is. There's no way. Like you tell me tomorrow, sign up for HYROX, there's no way. I will die. I will die.
You won't die. You could do it.
I'll do it because we have members 2 hours. That have done it. Yeah. No, you would have actually. You would probably surprise yourself. Actually, I don't know. You have not seen me run. If I'm running towards food, different story. But if I'm running around in a circle,
towards food,
that I will sprint.
What's your favorite go-to meal?
Okay, are we being healthy or are we being non-healthy?
Go-to meal like?
Anything Lebanese food.
Lebanese?
Yeah,
okay.
even better buffet. Like
A buffet
yeah,
Lebanese.
Like
Does that exist in Miami?
Yeah, well, I don't know in Miami, but elsewhere, absolutely. And it's the most beautiful thing to just have a huge amount of food.
So help me out.
You.
I don't think I'm not versed in Lebanese.
Yeah.
What are they known for?
Oh my God. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Because I'm about to start drooling.
All right.
Hummus is big.
Okay.
Shawarmas, which is kind of like a kebab. And then you have like your more traditional ones like fasulia and things like that. And then you have like desserts where, oh my God, knefe. Get ready. It's melted cheese, like mozzarella style, with like a sugar crust. And there's like rose syrup and pistachios on it. And you stuff that into warm bread. And then the cheese just goes on every side as you bite into it. It is, I love it. And the thing about Lebanese food, my dad's Lebanese, by the way. The thing about Lebanese food is it's made for mountain people because Lebanon is basically a bunch of beautiful, beautiful mountains. The water goes straight into the mountains. It's just insane. And so it has to be sustainable food. And it's very simple food because it's not the richest of countries. But man, is it flavorful. And it's full of like meat and things like that. Like it's just so... once you sit down for Lebanese food, your stomach will keep expanding for a good few hours after that because it's sustainable. Like it keeps you going, and I love it.
Is there any Lebanese restaurants in Miami?
The best I've found is Amal in Coconut Grove. That's the best
How do you say
one.
It?
Amal. So it's Amal, like Amal.
Amal.
And what's very interesting, do you eat raw meat?
Every now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love me some raw meat. In fact,
I'll do like Wagyu beef and stuff like that. Yeah, like love that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Actually love it. I actually feel so good and so strong when I eat raw meat. Obviously, you have to be very cognizant.
Have you seen the Liver King documentary yet?
No, well, yes, but he's on a whole different level. I'm talking about here and there. But they have kibinaye, which is basically grounded up meat, lamb meat, beef together with like some spices. You eat it on raw onion. So you take a raw onion, you put the meat on top, you drizzle it with olive oil from Lebanon.
Yum. That sounds delicious.
And you just eat it.
Love it.
Oh,
they have this
my
at that
God.
restaurant?
Yes,
All right.
which was very surprising.
Signing
and
up.
it is. We could do a whole podcast on
All right.
food, my friend. Legit.
So you said your dad's from Lebanese, and
Yeah.
obviously he's a big influence on your life,
Huge. Probably the biggest in my life.
and still today.
Very much so.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
what is, just name some. I mean, you said a few things before earlier, but like kind of dive into like what you've learned from him.
Honestly, it's just betting on yourself. That's the biggest thing. He had to bet on himself his whole life. And it turned out well for him. Like, just to give you an example, he comes from Lebanon and he didn't have enough money to, he wanted to become a doctor. And he wanted to study in the US, but he didn't have enough money. So he settled on going to France. He got a scholarship because his grades were so good. He worked his butt off. And he got a scholarship to be sent to France to become an engineer. He got 2 degrees at the same time. Like, he worked so hard. All he did was go to school, get the good grades so that he could actually get a good job. His dream was 1, to move to the US, 2, to send his kids to the US for school. He did both. And that, to me, is all I need to know about my dad. I can't even put into words the love I have for my dad. I will forever be his little girl. And I say that with so much pride. And I'm so happy that I look just like him.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Like, you know, when you're growing up and you're like going through stuff and you probably aren't happy with the way you look. Like, I wanted to get a nose job back when I was like 16 or, you know, and then I remember thinking, no, you can't get a nose job because if you get one, you won't look like your dad. And I'm so glad.
And you don't need one, so thank God you didn't.
Thank you. But I'm so glad I didn't because now forever I can look in the mirror and I see my dad. That's all I want.
That's beautiful. So I typically ask this to all the guests at the end. What if there was one thing that you would want people to know about you, but you don't think they do? What would it be?
Honestly, I wish I could just meet them. I feel like the energy someone puts off says so much about them. I can say this and that about me, about myself, but I feel like you need to feel it. Like, it's not that everyone loves me. Believe me, I'm not saying that. 50% of people will like you or dislike you based on whatever, you know, they're thinking. You can't really control that. But what I mean is, like, it's like when sometimes I have meetings, I prefer to have them person to person, because then you see the intention in my eyes. Like, it's different. So I can sit here and say this and that about myself, but I'd much rather actually sit with a person and then feel it, and I feel it from them too. So I don't know, that totally did not answer your question, but to me, there's no way of answering your question. I understood it,
and then also sitting across from you, I get it. So, because I can tell what you mean by it because I'm experiencing it.
Aww.
So.
Thank you, Manning.
Yeah, for sure. And then lastly, tell us, like, what's next with you and Growth to Mind. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, but you know, top of mind, what is next? Maybe your next event. Tell people about. So
I'm saying, oh my God, because like I'm so excited.
Okay,
I love what I do, and I can't believe that I've created the life that I live, because it truly brings me so much happiness. We have a bunch of stuff going on with Growth to Mindset. So one of them is the next Growth to Mindset retreat, which is on June 21st. You guys, No Days Off, sponsoring the event. Thank you very much, Manning.
Is that at Peak?
No, that's at CrossFit Miami Beach.
Oh, CrossFit Miami. Okay.
Yeah. So
amazing.
It's like a breathwork for performance class. And then there's going to be physio, chiropractic services, amazing water, No Days Off.
Yes.
Some healthy food, all that stuff. It's a platform that I've created so that wellness and sports companies can tap into their key demographic, and the key demographic, aka our guests, can actually enjoy these services. We have the Champions 2 event coming up. In the intro, you touch on how we volunteer our time at Gigi's Playhouse, which is an achievement center for people with Down syndrome. It's nationwide. And what I created was a Champions event, which started last year. It was actually at Peak 360.
Okay.
Where the members of Gigi's Playhouse, who I like to coach CrossFit to, along with a bunch of other people, including Chad Sorrentino, we invited them over to Peak in it's such a beautiful gym, and they got coached by elite CrossFit Games athletes like Noah Olsen, etc. So the Champions 2 event is coming up next week. And what we're doing is we're going to coach them at Wynwood Fitness Club, so in a beautiful CrossFit gym. And then right after, we're going to go outside because it's Wynwood, and we're going to paint a mural all together.
Beautiful.
Because I believe that art is quite therapeutic and brings people together. So those are the events. But for the clients on that side, lots of product launches because the summer's coming up. So that's hot. A lot of CEO calls. As you know, a lot of fires to be put out. And I have some stuff planned for the end of the year, which I'll be releasing too. I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it. And
thank you.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Good luck to you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.